So here we are, we're just going to have a little chat about the weeks that's just gone by and what's happened, the likes of the Henry Novak case, God, there's that much gone on, hasn't there? Henry Novak case, what else is there?
Northern Ireland.
Oh, the Northern Ireland case, Belfast, that horrific crime that took place. So we're just going to cover that a little bit. Plus the money that's being spent from our country, yet our defences are wide open. I'm not very political, but I've got someone with me that is a little bit more political. I can do all the talking, but he knows about the history and he can relate it better to you.
If you have me, I've just come here for the free beer, so...
Well, the Novak case was just horrific, wasn't it? Absolutely horrific. You know, how can the police be called out, arrive there, and then take someone's word over saying he's being racist to me and then handcuff a person when they're clearly lying there on the floor saying, I can't breathe?
Yeah, I think before you even get to what happened, the fact that they handcuffed the poor lad and he died and they didn't believe he had stab wounds and so on. The point everyone's missed is that they attended a few officers because someone said they'd been racially abused. So, as anyone knows, if they've been burgled or sometimes victims of a violent burglary, like an aggravated burglary, you get a crime number. They don't even come out. And if it's just a standard burglary, when your house is violated, there's no police come out, you get a crime number to give you insurance. But if you ring someone up and go, oh, hello, I've been racially abused, they'll turn up en masse. And,
they're out like a shot, aren't they?
Yeah, and
what does that tell you?
Yeah, and as you saw with Henry Novak, you know, I mean, I've watched the whole thing once, I can't really watch it again.
No, we couldn't watch
but
it,
like,
I watched it.
Yeah, I've been stabbed, of course you have, mate. No one checked him, nobody cared to look. That guy apparently remained unhandcuffed, even when he was taken to the police station. You know, I mean, and it all started with the fact that they responded to a call, I've been racially abused. Don't get me wrong, which is abhorrent, and then nobody should have to be subjected to such a thing. But if you can send 3 or 4 old bill to that and you can't send it to a burglary or an aggravated burglary, something's seriously wrong.
Isn't it? And then they took him to the police station, not handcuffed, and then asked him what kind of dinner that he'd like after just stabbing someone.
Yeah.
It's so bad, isn't it? And then, you know what got me as well when they're handcuffing him? And then I don't know whether it was the policewoman or the policeman. And she says, oh, take their details. As if it was like a brawl on a Saturday night out.
Yeah.
You know, outside of a pub. It's absolutely awful. And the other thing that I wanted to talk about was the statement. The statement, well, we'll come back to, because someone else made a statement, didn't they? There's a statement being made with the family saying that they don't want it to cause division and what have you. It's almost as if it was like scripted when you hear the next atrocity that happened and the script was almost the same.
Yeah, well, if you talk about what comes later in the week in Northern Ireland, it was a similar thing. And I read the script and it was like, the speech. Particularly one in Northern Ireland that we'll come to, they go, that's just been written for them. So you expect that to a point. But
the statement from the families.
But you expect it to be helped with it to a point, but it was written by a civil servant, basically.
Yeah, you could tell, couldn't you? Of course you could tell.
No, it's like Starmer saying it himself. We do not want violence to erupt on the streets. That's basically what it is. And I don't know what they have over these families. It's like Southport where they don't speak out. And they must threaten them like you're going to prejudice the court case. So no guy's got in and beheaded a load of children. So there is no, you can't bias the court case. That's the way it is. So I don't know what they have over these families, because if it's me, I'd say, I'm going to speak to the world, I'm going to speak to the press, and I'm going to tell everybody what happened. And yet they somehow managed to get these families, because they were using the Novak family. They were saying, if you remember rightly, the family want this is what the family want. But when you saw the images of the family coming out number 10, the daughter flies out the door, and they all got out there pretty quick as if they didn't want to be there. And they weren't even escorted up the end of the street, so although the press sort of laid off them a little bit and just took photos, they were just sent to a car up the end of the street.
And the other thing was, when they look back on Henry Novak's dad's social media, why they had to do that, I don't know. I think they were looking for racial, comments, and then that way what would have happened was that they would have said, oh, well, no wonder then, maybe the son did use a racial slur. Isn't that awful? But when they look back on his social media, there was more about how bad Starmer was. So I didn't understand how then he was sort of going to number 10. Was he coerced into doing that? Who knows?
Oh, there was that story, weren't there? They were planning to put a statement out to basically say he was the aggressor.
Yeah.
So if it wasn't for that footage, and then we'll come to Northern Ireland in a bit, if there wasn't the footage of what went on there, it would have been brushed under the carpet.
That's what I was just going to say. Then all this, you know, they're wanting to do this with close down social media. It's only so we won't see what's happening in the world. Because then you come to the Northern Ireland atrocity. You can't believe it. You couldn't make this shit up, could you? You know, what's happened in a week. And don't forget, this is what I wanted to say before we move on to the Northern Ireland tragedy, horrific scenes, was that this happened, don't forget, to Henry Novak, this happened last December. Do you know what I mean? December just gone.
I didn't know that at the time.
Yeah, that's what I mean. You think it's just happened, but it wasn't.
Yeah,
it was December.
It was buried. I think when they talk about this online safety thing and the online safety act, it's about protecting children. I was working in the city centre in Liverpool last year, and there's a great breakout area in the morning where you could go, and the girls had Sky News on.
Yeah.
So because I was having my morning coffee, I was watching it, and minister after minister after minister came out at the time when they first announced this online safety act, and it was saying it's about protecting children, Rachel, protecting children.
Yeah.
And these all the ministers who said it had voted against the National Grooming Gang
That's what
inquiry.
I mean.
So if you wanted to protect children, that's the first thing you'd vote for. So I'm unfortunately, I have to say, it makes me angry that there's so many people in the UK who still believe the mainstream narrative, the mainstream thing, you know, that they trust in the institution that was the BBC, which was the greatest in the world, and it was there as a beacon of like truth and light and stuff. And unfortunately,
no more though.
No, it hasn't been for a long time. This has been going for decades.
And the other thing is though, when they say about the online safety and what have you, and then you see the LGBTQRST, whatever it's called, and then you see these parades, and there's men walking around half naked, with the dangly bits hanging out and everything, and there's all kids all standing there. Why aren't they banned?
People crawling around in leather bondage with someone's got them on a dog lead,
like a fairy thing,
with the arse cheeks hanging out, getting whipped, and there's children there.
Online safety, man.
Kids stood there with a balloon and go, look at him whip the arse, kid, look at that. Protecting children's got nothing to do with it. They've lost control of the narrative. YouTube, I know some people get shadowed and they get banned and stuff, but generally YouTube's a good space. X, since Musk has got all of it and turned it into X, has become a platform for freedom, because it used to be a lefty playground.
And that's what they're trying to close down, aren't they? Starmer doesn't like Elon Musk, does he?
For one reason, because he bought X. Because when it was Twitter, it was a lefty playground. That's where the big cancel culture really happened. It wasn't just in the mainstream media. It was big on Twitter.
That's true.
I remember Ricky Gervais saying, "Be careful who you cancel today, because you'll be the ones being cancelled in the future."
Tomorrow,
and that is coming round on them now.
And then we get to the horrific scenes in Northern Ireland. But what do you think about it? And someone was saying, oh, this is an isolated incident. One of the, I don't know who they are who speaks. I'm sick of hearing them, to be honest with you. But it was an isolated incident. Well, wasn't Lee Rigby? What about Lee Rigby? Didn't it happen to him? Was that an isolated incident as well? And we didn't hear much about the guy that was trying to get at the soldier, remember? Just after the Southpaws it was. And someone was stabbing a soldier. It's just horrific.
He went onto a barracks.
Yeah, that's
as a
right.
delivery driver,
a
and stabbed a soldier and made a right mess of him. And it just absolutely disgusting.
But I remember when I first met you, and you used to say to me, in the future, you'll have beheadings on the streets of Britain.
Yeah,
and I used to call him a madman. And one of my friends, I told him to meet one of my friends, and he was talking to their dad, and he's called Conrad, and he was opening his hairdressers, and he said he was talking to his dad, and he said he was telling them, you know, thinking about the future, talking about the future. And the next day, Conrad said, oh, my dad said, your fella's a madman. Do you know what? I'd love to go back now and ask him, do you still think he's a madman? Because what's happened? What's happened that is these atrocities taking place in the country? And then you've got the Belfasters, like all the rioters and what have you. And although you don't condone rioting and you know, these houses being set on fire and, you know, these horrific scenes, But what is it gonna take? What's gonna happen? Because all these protests, these quiet protests, don't seem to be doing anything. So what is it gonna take for the British government to listen? And then they get that minister, that one that was not minister, I don't know who she is, that was
The
pulling
Sinn
all the
Féin
places.
first minute. Oh no,
No, the
no,
one
no,
that was
yeah.
saying, immigration
The
doesn't.
Green Party.
Yeah, it doesn't affect
When
housing.
she said, are you trying to say immigration has an effect on housing?
Yeah.
You're going, yeah, I
faces.
think the guy said if you bring 1 million people in, it's going to put a bit of strain on the system. I think going back to what you were saying as well, when I met you all them years ago,
Yeah.
like our second or third day, it said, they're going to be beheading people in the streets. And I knew this because I'd lived in a heavily enriched area since I was a kid, apart from Manchester. When I was born in 1973, by the time I was 4 or 5, our area was pretty much not a non-white area. There was West Indians, Asians and so on. And then the areas surrounding that were pretty much the same. The school I went to was predominantly a non-white school, which wasn't all negative, but I was subject to racial abuse anyway on a daily basis for being white. And as I grew up, I seen the rise of radical Islam. I think Al-Mujah Al-Harun, if I can pronounce it correctly, would become a banned prescribed organisation in this country. They had an office in a community centre basically in Russia, which was like an old pub or a social club. Yeah. That's where they were based. So I knew what was going on, and I was seeing these people and listening to them and stuff. And then when you started to track the rise of radical Islam early on, it was there for the evidence was there for all to see. It was even on the BBC.
I hadn't seen anything like that, and at school I didn't. Paul's very good at history, and I haven't got a clue. Honestly, I haven't got a clue. I didn't really do anything at school other than sag and go round the back of the bike sheds and have a cigarette. And, you know, but growing up where I grew up was totally different to where Paul grew up. So he had a foresight to see what was going to happen. But when I met him, I was thinking, what? Are you joking? Are you mad? And now, look what's happening.
It was a funny second day. It was like, oh, they're going to be beheading people in the streets. How was your steak? Sat there cutting through it myself, and with all blood squirting out of it and stuff. But I mean, I think she realised that I'm not a mad person. I'm a guy with a proper career, which a normal life and a son and everything else. But you could see this happening, and I think fast forward now to what happened in Belfast, and there was an Irish guy on the street last week. He was talking a few nights ago. He was talking to the news people, and he said, the Catholics and the Protestants come together, and he said about the island of Ireland as a whole, and he said there's been about 7 beheadings, full-on beheadings over the last few years.
Wow.
And he said like gang rapes were a thing which would never happen in Ireland, or it'd be so extremely rare. Now it's commonplace. So it has coincided. The IRA and the loyalist terrorists were brutal. They'd plant bombs, they'd shoot people for the head, you name it. They'd never drive cars into crowds of people. They would never behead people. There were certain things that they wouldn't do. Now this has been imported into Ireland, like it's been imported into the UK, and it's been imported into Europe. And the politicians, I'm sorry for ranting, but the politicians expect us not to say nothing about it. It's like, how dare you speak out about what we've done?
But what do you think about when people say, because this really boils my piss, when people say about the grooming gangs and what have you. God, we're a bundle of joy, don't we? We have some good conversations.
But you're not even scratching the surface of what enrichment has brought. So,
but what I'm saying is that if the grooming gangs, people go, well, there's mostly whites in this country that do that.
White paedophiles, I mean. Well, yeah, because we're still 80% officially white country, which is a lot less than that. What's unique about the grooming gangs, and what's unique about the Islamic, and mostly Pakistani as well, to be fair, is that this is brothers, cousins, uncles, work colleagues exploiting his girls on an industrial scale. And I've said this many times, I know my brother-in-law has as well. It's like, if somebody rang me up and said, we've got a 13-year-old girl here, we're all having sex with her, and that's my cousin or brother, I don't know if I could ring the police first or go around and smash his face in, because that's our morals. We wouldn't operate like paedophile rings, as they call them, tend to be in the white sphere of things. People who connect online, share images and stuff. That's what you call a standard paedophile profile as we know it. So what happened with
the grooming gangs?
The grooming gangs and the Asian ones, and it's not exclusive to them as well. There was a lot happening in the West Indian community as well. I remember being 14, 15 and seeing girls getting picked up from Whalley Range High School by grown black men in cars, and that was happening. So it's not, but the industrial scale was from the Pakistani community mainly, Um,
Do you think that'll ever be unravelled? Do you think anyone will ever there'll ever be any accountability?
You've seen that inquiry now, so those witnesses, victims rather, sorry. Most of them have gone from the thing that Jeff Phillips was heading. Then they wanted to widen the investigation to bring in a few white pedos here and there. No, they didn't operate in that way. As abhorrent as you know, everyone hates a pedo, don't they? But
of course,
there wasn't operating in a way they were. Brothers, cousins, uncles. The way it worked.
They would have like eat party, apparently. They would have like parties for Eid. And
I mean, I can't think about it.
I know, he gets
it's
dead
that
mad.
disgusting.
Well, of course you get dead mad, but like even the Henry Novak thing, I can listen to things, and when Rupert Lowe was like explaining what some of them girls have gone through, I can listen to it, but he can't.
No,
and I think a lot of fellas are like that, aren't they?
I think it languishes you to a point where this is why you're seeing violence now, because what used to happen when I was a kid in Moss Side, and we just moved from Hume to Fallowfield, so Moss Side was the area sandwiching between the riots happened in 1981, I think it was. At the same time, Toxic and that did.
Yeah.
And the majority of the
I
riots
remember the Toxic
were
riots.
black kids. Other than the poll tax riots, all the riots I've seen in this country up until the last few years have been mainly what you call ethnic riots. It's the truth.
Yeah.
So maybe there's been some injustices thrown in there. That's thrown it in the George Floyd thing and so on.
Yeah.
But
why do you think that was justified?
No, I'm not. I'm just saying, but that's the type of thing which sparks these ethnic riots, and they are ethnic riots. Because remember a few years ago, you couldn't say they were ethnic riot because there was four white kids out of 200. So they go, it's not an ethnic riot. So what's happened is now happened after Southport. Yeah. It scared the establishment to death because white people started rioting en masse.
And they're not used to that.
No, they're not. And if you remember after Southport,
but are they though? Because you remember the coal and all that, and manufacturing
the miners' strikes and stuff weren't riots.
Yeah,
they weren't rioting. These people were striking and they were
going to people's houses, weren't they, and going to shops and what.
They don't know, but they're having running battles with the police and stuff. They weren't looting. They weren't. You know, burning cars. It's just rioting, basically. Yeah. What's happened was after Southport, these riots, and it would have all got fed back to Stalin and stuff. Yeah. Particularly in the northeast, in Middlesbrough and Sunderland, where they were smashing houses in, and there was ones in Hull where they were dragging people out of cars. Yeah. These were like, it scared them to death. Yeah. And I said that's a microcosm of what's around the corner if they don't politically get a grip in it. Farage keeps saying, doesn't it?
Last year before.
So, yeah, Farage keeps saying this is our last chance politically because that's a microcosm of what's to come. And obviously the white majority and the whites will get the whip hand over it. I don't want to see that basically. I don't want to see people getting killed and stuff. But what's happened was that has terrified the establishment. And what else has terrified them is the United Kingdom marches and the ones that came before that because
a lot of people say, what difference does them marches make? I think they made a huge difference because I think that a lot of people thought, well, at least I'm not alone. I'm not alone. Like,
no, it's more than that. People don't realise the impacts because people don't have foresight and I think they're a bit stupid sometimes. That scares the establishment to death because they see not only white rioters, they see hundreds of thousands of people on the streets. The one we went to, not this year, the year before, there was at least 1.5 million people in London. There was. Every tube station, every road.
The last one wasn't as big as the one
before.
No,
it was still big, but we couldn't get within 2 miles of the
And everywhere you looked, it was just flags of people. It was just red and white everywhere. It was
and what scared them most, it's not just like because there's been white riots and there's some white patriots. The United Kingdom thing is a multicultural thing. Yeah. So there's people of West Indian background, Africans, Asians, Chinese, and Filipinos and stuff. And that scares them more than anything else.
Very important, isn't it, as well?
That scares them
more. Everyone's coming together.
That scares them more than anything else because they're going, oh my God, this really is an uprising of the working class. Yeah. And that's rocked them to the core. So when I saw Belfast the other night, that wasn't a surprise. And there's plenty of protests around the country, but they didn't really turn violent. They didn't give any coverage to them because they didn't want to say, well, basically people are coming out in Liverpool, Manchester, so there was 80 odd demonstrations that we knew of. But what's happened in Northern Ireland, so you combine the United Kingdom things, which is peaceful, people of all backgrounds come together, then you combine the fact that white people are prepared to riot en masse, burn out houses and stuff, that has scared them to death. And this is why Starmer, after Southport, he still does it now. The full force of the law, that's all he can say, because working class people don't really care about the law. But from whenever we grew up as kids, we didn't care about the police. It's just the way it is. It's what we're made of. So although you don't break the law, the police don't hold any fear for you at all. And but he thinks in his mind, I'm the Prime Minister. The full force of the law. These robotic ministers like Rachel Reeves and the other.
And do you know what though? Interesting 2 weeks, hasn't it? It's been absolutely what a time to be alive. It's absolutely crazy. And then we're just going to finish on this. What about? I read in the Daily Mail that they don't really want you to put your England flags up. I have seen thousands of England flags up. And then I done a video, and then someone had put underneath it, how dare people hijack the English flag and for their protests, and now I don't want to put mine up for the England tournament because it's being hijacked by the far right. What do you think about that? What do you think about that comment? How would you respond?
Well, they've been saying this since the 1980s. It's been hijacked by the far right. So if you're an ultra-nationalist, your most revered symbol is going to be your flag, of course. Yeah. So that means then no one else can use it because the nationalists have it as their revered symbol. If you're a nationalist, French, German, Italian, African, or whatever, your flag's going to mean the world. And then, I'm sorry, in terms of this World Cup, they're like 12 months too late. We've had Operation Raise the Colours. Even round here, it's full of flags everywhere. And it's lampposts all down the streets and everywhere. So they're too late. They're losing control. They're losing the narrative. And this is why Starmer is like, the defence minister has had to resign. It's not just about money. Starmer can't overrule Reeves because that's all he's got. Imagine your future depending on her.
Wow.
Remember, she got heckled the other week and she was like, British people have manners. They have manners and you need to exercise. And you said they're not normal people. They're like robots. Sharon Starmer, I think they're brother and sister. I do. Okay, don't tell anybody we're related. No, that will not work, will it, Rachel? No, not at all. Let's have some cereals. I mean, they're just like...
Yeah, they're just... Because if someone was shouting out to you like that and you were like an MP and, you know, you had that high profile, wouldn't you say, come over here, mate?
Used to do.
You know, let's have a chat, sit down, have a coffee, what do you think? Well, they won't, will they? They're like robots. They don't live in this world. They actually live in a little bubble, don't they?
I think the reality for them, they can't face... I mean, politicians years ago, they'd be full of it. Yeah. And they'd swerve questions.
Full of something
Michael Howard was a famous one. He went 5 minutes without answering something. But generally, they would answer so many questions. Yeah. They were actually half competent at the jobs, even though they were doing a bad job in terms of immigration and stuff. And they knew how to deal with the media and the public. I've never seen a front bench as bad as that in my life. And you know, David Lammy as well. I don't think David Lammy's a bad guy. I just think he's thick. And you know, it's got to something when last weekend they sent Lammy out.
How did he get in these positions?
I know, but they sent Lammy out about 3 or 4 times on the spin to Trevor Phillips
Rolled
and all that.
him out, literally.
Yeah. And Starmer must have blagged him and goes like, David, you're the only man for the job. We're depending on you. He's going, okay. And he's gone out there and he's, you know, like he does, puts his foot in it and gets it all wrong and stuff. And that's where the Labour Party have come to. So Keir Starmer, I believe it was today, that interview where he's going, I have a duty, a responsibility. I've been elected. He will not go until he's caught stuck up a rent boy or something like that. I mean, sorry, but that's the truth.
But you know what I think? I think that I keep saying this, even when he's saying he's going to be in power for the next 10 years, he must know something that we don't know. That's what I keep saying. I know it sounds strange, but I think, has he been caught doing something? Is he being caught, as they say, with his pants?
Well, I think he thinks I think he has. I think they've got something on him. I think that there's the senior Muslims that have got something on him. I think the WEF have got something on him, the WF, and he's thinking about power in terms of this thing that's fading. Remember that conference he was at there? I think it was the World Economic Forum conference in a few months ago, where he said, people say our style of politics is dead, but it's not. But they're speaking to this room where the Overton windows has shifted. Yeah. The whole thing shifted, and deep down they know it, but they're in a deep state of denial at the moment. And I'll say one thing as well.
I don't understand Overton windows.
All it is, the political mood has shifted.
Why don't they just say that? Why do they say Overton windows?
That's the British way. They have to name everything, don't they? It's like a Beatles leg's probably got a name. It's not just a Beatles leg. It's just what's
the Beatles got to do with it?
I'm saying we name everything in English language. That's what we do. So like,
do you mean the Beatle that sings or the Beatle that on the floor?
Well, one that crawls about. Okay. You might sing, but listen's yours. I've got a song. But no, I mean that's the English language. But the Overton window has shifted.
Yeah.
And they're either in a deep state of denial or they don't know what's happening around them. But I don't see how they can't not know.
So what can we finish on? Something positive.
I'll tell you what, this is the last 2 years of the mainstream of
the two-tier parties.
Oh, yeah, the two-party system. Because people go, there's three parties.
Oh, I mean, not two-tier.
No,
I said that wrong, didn't I?
Two-party system.
Two-party system.
People go, there's three parties, really. Well, the Lib Dem have never been a party. They had a coalition, didn't they, with Cameron when they didn't get enough votes.
Yeah.
Reform have come now, and I think Reform will win the next election. I'll just say, actually, before we finish, the Makerfield thing. And, you know, if you live in Makerfield, no disrespect, but if Burnham ends up winning there, the whole country's going to blame everyone in Makerfield about it. And there's going to be plenty of Restore and Reform voters there. You have to get someone else over the line other than Labour. So whether it's Reform or Restore, I don't care. I mean, I don't care who wins.
I know, as long as it's not
if there's enough votes for Restore to beat them,
Yeah.
Restore it is, but I think it's probably going to be Reform. Don't let him win, because what will happen is he'll challenge Starmer, he'll become leader, and the people are already saying in these polls, these Labour people who are trying to excuse themselves for voting Labour in the first place, oh, we'll vote Labour again. That could scupper the entire future of this country. We've got one chance now.
Yeah.
This is the one chance to bring about change. Yeah, it is. Peacefully.
Peacefully, yeah.
Because otherwise,
that's the way of it.
Yeah, because otherwise it's Belfast the other night en masse, and it's not going to be pretty. And I'm getting too old for it now.
Well, there you go. We're getting too old for it, and that's our Friday night roundup. I'm going to be doing them every week. So, see you all later. Thank you very much for your input.
You're welcome.
And don't forget to subscribe. See you all later. Ciao.